And congratulations to APNIC. Next up, we've got Paul Wilson, the APNIC Director General. Also coming a far piece. Far piece, oh yeah, I think you need that.
Need that. Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul from APNIC. Like Nick, I'll give a shout out to all the participants here this early hour. Without you here, I wouldn't need to be here either. So that's nice. I'm here to give an update from APNIC, starting with APNIC's vision statement, which is of a global, open, stable and secure internet that serves the entire Asia-Pacific region. We split our reporting these days into these three areas: serving our members, supporting internet development in the region, and collaborating more broadly in the work that we do. So, under serving our members, there's a few charts here, fairly unremarkable generally. The IPv6 delegations are going steadily, as you see, year by year. We're trying to spice it up a bit with a few more interesting graphs here, showing, for instance, the size of the delegations that we're making, how many are allocations and how many are assignments. And we've got something called the one-click process for allocating IPv6, and we allocate about a quarter of our allocations through that mechanism. Moving on to IPv4, it's a little different because we've run out of IPv4 address space as of quite a few years ago, and so we're making two types of delegations of IPv4 space. One is the rationed allocations from the last /8 of anything between a /24 and a /22. And we're also running a second pool of addresses under the same policy that allows a second allocation like that from returned IANA space. So for some reason we had a huge burst of that activity back mid last year. We got up to 800 allocations in the month of August last year, which was somehow a result of some very effective publicity, I guess, that we did at the time. But it's settled back down to a few hundred of those allocations per month. And again, there's a few pie charts here which show the breakup of those things. IPv4 transfers, they're not very active in the APNIC region. I think RIPE NCC is doing a few hundred of these a month. We're doing something like a dozen or so. We're doing intra-RAR transfers, so half, three-quarters of our IPv4 transfers are coming from the ARAN region. We've got a pre-approval process, so if you want to receive a transfer at APNIC, you go through a request process, just like the old allocation request process, and if you get approved, then you go on to a pre-approval list. And so most of our transfers go in that mode. And we also have a listing service, so if you want to have your pre-approval listed so that other people can see that you're able to receive a transfer, then you can do that as well. ASN assignments are also fairly steady and always quite slow in our region, 50 a month or so, but the vast majority these days are 4-byte ASNs, and we get very few of those returned back to us. They generally end up in the routing table, which is a very nice thing to see, of course. Our membership has been accelerating in the last couple of years because of the fact that downstream or enterprises can't get addresses from their upstreams anymore, so they join APNIC directly for those last /8 blocks. I can show you also that in APNIC's NIRs, the national registries, we've had a big acceleration in growth there as well for the same reason. But if you add those two charts together, you get our total, not membership, but the total number of organisations served by APNIC, which is up to about close to 8,000 these days. All right, a few other service announcements here. The Whois service has been distributed across 4 servers as of this year. So we've got Whois servers in Brisbane, Tokyo, London and California, and that's for the sake of distributing the request load and you can see how effective that is in terms of resisting the sort of attacks that we've had, and I guess RIPE NCC does as well. We are able to sync any attack traffic at the server where it's closest, and so you can see that fairly effectively here and here. We got up to about 6,000 queries a second in one of these attacks, and that all got sunk into one of the servers, the US server, rather than coming back to the master at APNIC. We're doing some work on the systems architecture, so we're in the process now of redesigning our basic systems architecture based on a message bus, trendy message bus kind of platform, and so that's something that's underway and will be going on for the next year or so. Supporting infrastructure, we've also recently managed to virtualize all of the servers that we've been running. It's more than 175 different distinct machines, all being configured with Puppet for kind of centralized update and so on. Along those lines too, we've got a disaster recovery program which is being audited and exercised on a regular basis. So we're doing sort of scenario testing to make sure that our infrastructure is able to keep going under different disaster scenarios. And sort of on the same lines, the general accountability and transparency of the organisation is something that we're focusing on a fair bit these days. That comes partly from the times that we're in, the fact that organisations like ICANN and the other RIRs are being asked to demonstrate our accountability, our transparency, the sort of the systems by which our organisations are being run in an appropriate way. So we've got that stuff well documented, and also with the other RIRs across the accountability matrix, which compares all of us together. A few other things to do with ISO 9001, which we passed a couple of years ago, and we're having a regular annual audit of that as well. Also on the transparency sort of topic, we've rejigged our budgeting and planning so it's now activity based, and so what you see here is that across those three areas of serving members and supporting the regional development, global collaboration, we can show how the budget for the coming year is being allocated. Within each of those categories, also a number of subcategories as well. And the bottom line there is the corporate support or the administrative overheads which go into the organisation. Okay, moving on to supporting development in the region. We put our policy development process into that area. This is our chart of policy development, where we put some work into the consensus process that is sort of behind the whole system. The sort of a number of minor policy developments over the last policy implementations over the last few months, including the distribution of the return Diana space as additional allocations to members who've already received the last /8 block. On the consensus measurement, we've got this nifty consensus tool called Confer, which is a real-time kind of monitor of how the room feels about a particular discussion. So people in the room and remotely can tell us whether they strongly oppose or support, or how they feel about a particular process, a particular proposal. Sorry. So that's something which is nicer to see in real time, because it sort of moves around as the discussion goes on. A lot of different events around our region we're having, like RIPE NCC, we're holding regional meetings as well as the major conferences twice a year. So we're moving the regional events around the year with things like training and APNIC services, help desk, and so on. We're continuing training as well in a pretty active way. We count 2,300 people trained, this is last year, trained in face-to-face trainings, that is. We've managed to hold 76 courses last year in 29 different locations. We've got a video archive of 63 videos, and I don't know where the views are all coming from, but it was they were viewed 178,000 times last year, so someone's enjoying APNIC online training, which is really nice to see. The NOGs, the network operator groups of the region, we're paying more and more attention to them because in fact we have a new spate of NOGs being established on a national basis around the region. So we attend the NOGs, we support where we can. Again, it's training, it's outreach and hostmaster and member services that we provide there. IPv6, again, this is a sort of a view of the number of different IPv6 events that have been going on. Again, a lot of training there, but there's also outreach, work with ITU, different governments, and the Asia Pacific IPv6 task force, which we host as well. Security is a new thing, relatively new at APNIC in that we've had increasing demand for support for security outreach, training, liaison and so forth. So we hired Adley last year, who's come from the CERT community, and he's very busy with outreach to the CCERTs and LEAs and so forth. He sits on the CERT, on the first board as well. So he's really sort of trying to fulfill the need that we have in the region. That's an area that's going to keep growing, I'm sure. And here's our RPKI campaign. We're all getting ready to roar. That's the idea of promoting our members, both certifying their resources and registering their ROAs in the RPKI. Finally, collaborating. There's a lot of global cooperation that goes on across the RIRs, across the ICANN system, of course. This covers the WSIS and other intergovernmental and more global outreach that goes on. And if you put all of those maps together, you get a pretty busy time for the APNIC crew in the last year or so across a lot of different types of activities. Last year we established a new blog. It's kind of the centre point of our website these days. Tony Smith, the communications director, as of a year or so ago, has implemented this strategy, and it's really going well. We've got guest posts and staff bloggers putting stuff up. So if you haven't seen blog.apnic.net, then have a look at that. It's going pretty well, and it's going to continue this year, of course. We're also after guest posts, so anyone who's got an article that you'd be prepared to let us publish on your behalf, we'd be very happy. Generally, improving communications actually is something that we've had to put some focus on in the last year. I think as APNIC's activities and our focus sort of diversifies, we've been doing a lot of work, for instance, in internet governance, and that needs to be communicated fairly carefully around our region to make sure that members actually understand. So we've put a lot more effort into comms with providing reports from all of the events that we go to, that we attend or participate in on a regular basis, and all of that sort of stuff. So finally, you're invited to the next APNIC meeting, which is in Jakarta in September. So please come along. That's our 40th meeting, and it'll be, you're all welcome. That's what I'd like to say. So thank you very much. Any questions? Happy to answer. Nick's winding me up, so maybe best not. Thank you.
Any questions for Paul? Thank you, Paul. Next up, we've got Aaron Hughes to give the Aaron update. Aaron is from the Aaron Board of Trustees.